This is beautiful in Salt Lake to see this kind of cool temperature, rain in the forecast, and beautiful smile on your faces. Thank you. Let us start meeting with the pledge. Commissioner Hillis is going to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And then we will have the introduction of the commission and the UDOT family followed. So let's start to the right, Commissioner.
Hi, Natalie Gochner. I represent Region 2 Summit, Salt Lake and Tooele County, and I work at the University of Utah and live in Murray. I'm Donna Law. I am a commissioner at large, and my home is in Cedar City.
Jim Evans, Commissioner represent Region 3, live in Orem, and I'm involved with America's Freedom Festival.
Kevin Van Tassel, Commissioner at Large for the state. I live in Vernal, Utah.
Thank you. Commissioner Love, you online? We'll wait for her to come back. My name is Nagi Zanadi. I chair the commission, and thank you for being here. We excuse Commissioner Kramer, who is traveling today. So, Carlos, would you please introduce them?
Start, okay. Good morning, everybody. Commissioners, Carlos Braceros, Executive Director, Utah Department of Transportation. Everyone to go, and then we'll go over to Terry.
Mark Bowles, Commission Assistant. Barry Newell, Deputy Director, Planning and Investment.
Sandy Hewitt, UDOT Program Development.
Matt.
Matt Parker, Region 3 Program Manager.
Eric Radvan, Region 3 Planning Manager.
Rob Clayton, I'm the Region 3 Director.
Peter Asplund with Policy and Legislative Affairs.
I'm Bob Pelley, I'm STIP Coordinator. Troy, let's do over that side, and then we'll come over to Monty.
Troy Peterson, Operations. President of Region 1 Program Manager. Good morning, Ralph White, Region 1 Director.
Matt Moss, Aeronautics Director.
Josh Van Jurog, Trails and Transit Group.
Carmen Swanwick, Project Development.
Morning, Monty Eldred, Region 4 Director. Kirk Thornock, Region 4 Deputy Director.
Cameron Gage, Region 4 Program Manager.
Albert Miles, Traffic and Safety.
Brad Palmer, Region 3 Program Manager.
Jordan, it looks like we're back to you.
Lead Technology and Innovation.
Miss Liv.
Leigh Felder, Legislative Director.
Carrie.
Carry on Noble, Technology and Innovation.
There's a couple retired UDOT folks here. I almost made a mistake here.
I think we missed a back row. Diane.
Oh, Diane, sorry.
Okay. We also would like to excuse Lisa Miller, Deputy Director. She is the graduation of her niece, not herself. She's graduated already.
Want to see if Commissioner Menlove is back on?
Yes. Commissioner Menlove, good morning. Would you please introduce yourself and your jurisdiction?
Good morning. Sorry, I had a little technical difficulty there. I'm Rhonda Menlove, Commissioner representing Region 1, living in Garden City, Utah, and I represent the northern part of the state.
Thank you. We'd like to also recognize and welcome our federal partners, Jaime Marrero and Brigitte Minell. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Let's see, item number 2 in your agenda is a public comments. At this time, we would like to see if we have Mr. Burrell here to come and present.
Where would you like me to?
Podium, please. State your name and speak loudly.
Good morning. My name is Ellen Burrell. I'm with the Cottonwood Heights City Council. And I know many of you, and I applaud all of your efforts with the Utah Transportation Commission and all the professionals in the room. I will just say that I think I've spent the last 3.5 years getting my graduate degree online. I've really worked to understand more about the transportation situation in my 40 years of living in Salt Lake County. I have used active transportation and transit. And as I've seen our county grow and the population burgeon, it's understandable that we've had to widen and accentuate our arterials and collectors. But I ran for office because I believe the time has come for Salt Lake County to really go for first-class transit. We do have wonderful transit improvements in the way of light rail, and certainly with the front runner, it makes for excellent north-south connections, especially from Provo to Ogden. But if you talk to most people in leadership in the cities in Salt Lake County, especially the whole south half of the valley, the mayors and the city council will tell you that the east-west connection is very poor, and that most workers simply cannot use the existing transit to get to their place of work. And we know this has gotten only worse during COVID and post-COVID. With housing prices skyrocketing, people now can often not live anywhere near where they work. So the time for businesses to be able to get workers, I mean, this is a problem that is going to continue to grow. And unless in Salt Lake County, we really focus on transit alternatives, our businesses are going to find they're going to have challenges getting those workers that they need. So this is an economic, not just an air pollution and health and public wellness problem. We know that vehicular violence is on the rise. We know that mental illness and a lot of problems that we have in our society are growing. And transit can help to calm that. It can provide affordable mobility. In a time when many young families, many elderly are on fixed incomes that they cannot expand with the cost of mortgages or even the cost of rent. Secondary to that, their next major expense can be their mobility. And so I really want to appeal to the Utah Transportation Commission to focus and do all we can to use the existing asphalt that we see throughout Salt Lake County. I don't think it's a matter of needing more asphalt. It's a matter of prioritizing transit, getting what my constituents tell me, the 9,000 people that live in my District 4 of Cottonwood Heights, and it has come out, it's published. We've done two Y2 Analytics surveys of our entire population of 34,000 in Cottonwood Heights. And last year and again this year, the number 2 and 3 top concerns are walkability and more transportation alternatives. People want to get out of their cars. Let's give them a way to do that. I highly urge you to consider the repurposing of the many strip mall parking lots that dot Salt Lake County. Let's work with the mayors, work with COG and each of these mayors of these cities, I'm sure would be thrilled to identify a place within their city that could be a mobility hub. Again, hopefully repurposing existing strip mall parking lots that are not fully utilized. This would drive revenues into each of the cities around Salt Lake County. So I think this would be a very popular idea with the city's leadership themselves. And again, connect business districts and educational districts, shopping, entertainment, and get people to the canyons. Let them leave their vehicles closer to where they live. Thank you for letting me take a few minutes with you, and I stand at the ready should anyone want to or need help, or I'm all for elevating this. I think it would take a real public relations effort to help many people who are dressed as we're all dressed in the room today to go to and from work if they had some kind of public relations campaign that saw people climbing onto that electric bus, hopefully electric buses. So again, thanks for your time.
Thank you. We have one online comment from Kai Norfeld, who is representing Southern Utah Bicycle Alliance. Good morning, Kai. Introduce yourselves.
Good morning. Hope you're all doing well. Appreciate it. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Kai Nordfeld, and I am a board member of the Southern Utah Bicycle Alliance. It's a nonprofit organization serving all cities and towns in Washington and Iron counties. We advocate for the seasoned road cyclist, the youngest child biking to school, and everyone in between. So a wide range of cyclists. For over a decade, SUTA has been working on policies, funding, and infrastructure development to support all active transportation users throughout Southern Utah. As additional active transportation funding comes available to the Commission, we are here today asking for your support, continuing support of active transportation in our area. With our mild climate, Southern Utah is perfect for year-round active transportation, but we are challenged by unprecedented growth in our population as one of the country's largest, fastest growing metropolitan areas, and also the dramatic growth of our visitor population. We need your help in continuing to develop our infrastructure and our local culture of using walking and biking as an everyday form of transportation. Our focus is on mode shifting, giving our citizens the option of walking or biking instead of using their cars. We're also focused on connectivity, connecting our existing trail networks. As additional funding becomes available, please consider the unique needs of Southern Utah. We thank you for your support in the past and consideration and your time this morning, and hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Kai. Would like to also invite anyone from the public. Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you please introduce yourself for the record?
Speak here.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Gay Lynn Benyon, and I represent House District 41, which is most of Cottonwood Heights. It includes Alpha, Brighton, and parts of Midvale, Murray, and Holiday. And first of all, I would just like to thank UDOT and UTA for all the work that they have done during this unprecedented season of snow and avalanche danger. And I am grateful for all the employees and staff that have worked so hard to move us through a perilous time. And I would also like to echo those comments about public and active transportation. We've been seeing many reports that our culture is feeling very isolated. People feel isolated and lonely. And this is largely due to the infrastructure that we've built that relies on cars. And this is not anyone's fault it's here. It's just the system that we've set up. I have spent many years with immigrants and refugees as a volunteer teacher. And when they come here, they say, where is everybody? In the cultures that they came from, people mixed in plazas and markets, and it was less lonely. And they come here and they don't see anyone because they're in their cars. So I just think that that's also, besides our physical health to get out and have active transit, it's also our mental health and our social well-being. That is a big part of who we are, that we love to be together, and that cars have driven us apart. And it's not any of our fault. It's the system we've inherited. And it's just the steps that we can take to change that will make us all healthier. So thank you.
Thank you for your kind words. Okay. Moving on to the next item of the agenda, that's the Federal Highway Partners Report, and Brigitte Mendel with the small interface coming forward already. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having me. Brigitte Mandel, Deputy Division Administrator with the Utah Division. I just click it. Okay, it's been a busy month at Federal Highway, so I've got a number of items to share with you. On April 12th, the renewal notice and amendment for Utah's 326 Memorandum of Understanding was published in the Federal Register. It is out for comments for 30 days, but this will renew and extend Utah's ability to for NEPA assignment. And so that is good news. The ferry boat guidance was issued on April 21st. The major change for this updated guidance is that bill now provides for an increase in the federal share for projects to replace or retrofit a diesel fuel ferry vessel with more, efficient emissions reductions. And there's a request for information out in the Federal Register right now. It provides under section 60505, the Environmental Review Implementation Funds for the Inflation Reduction Act allows for $100 million to go towards entities to help them with their environmental review for transportation projects. And so the Federal Highway Administration is right now asking how best to implement this program and how to utilize the funding. So we're soliciting comments on that for 45 days. And we recently had NOFO, which Notice of Funding Opportunity for the Protect Discretionary Grant Program. This supplements the formula funds that UDOT gets, but makes the funding eligible to all entities, including the state as well as MPOs and locals, to help with resiliency efforts on our transportation systems. And so those applications are due August 18th, and more information is available at grants.gov. The National Scenic Byways Program grants were announced on April 28th. Utah was a recipient of one of, it was 33 grants that were named across the country. It's for Utah's Patrick Parkway Interpretive Signage and Kiosk Project in the amount of just under $250,000. And then we had a Notice of Funding Opportunity for the Reduction of Truck Emissions at Port Facilities Grant Program. This is a new program designed to help with truck emissions at port facilities and reducing those emissions, making them more efficient. Applications for this program are due June 26th. And then lastly, I wanted to share our local aid support puts out a newsletter. And in this recent newsletter, they had USDOT's Routes Initiative that showed a very comprehensive list of all the grants that are currently available across the whole Department of Transportation. So it provides links to all the grant programs, the dates, the funding amounts available, and a link to apply. So I thought this might be handy for you to share with your constituents. And then the look ahead is the second part of that. And so these are the grants that we're anticipating to come out in the next few months. And again, links for information on those programs. And that's it for me. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Questions from Brigitte? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4 on the agenda is UDOT scoreboard, and Carmen is already on the way, and she will be followed by Troy Peterson. Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. Carmen Swanwick with Project Development. And I'm going to kind of just give you, the monthly update for our project delivery. So starting with the project delivery status, you can see we have 7 past due. 4 of those of what you've seen in the past. And those are really working with the local governments, working through some right-of-way Navajo Nation. So we're still working through getting those type of agreements in place. 3 were added, and we anticipate they'll be advertised next month. We have 25 to advertise within the next 60 days. So we're really on track when we come down here and look at for the current fiscal year. We're doing well. We're meeting our goals of 90% advertised on time. Since last July, we've advertised 140 projects, and it totals about $1.5 billion since then. Moving down to the total cost estimates for projects and what since last month. And these are part of what has been advertised, 14 projects, which totals about $563 million. Moving down to the advertising status. You can see here the red are the projects that I talked about previously. And you can see based on the trends, we're really trending the way we typically do. And you can see with all the blue are all the projects that are really moving into scoping that we can push into advertising next year. This is the project count and construction contracts. So you can see right now we have 182 projects in construction. And we have on those contracts about 585 million left to pay out, but we're about 1.1 billion in what we've paid so far. This is the monthly contract payments. We were slow in February, and I think everybody kind of understands why, due to the winter we've had. So you can see going into March and April, we're really back on that trend. This is how we measure our engineer's estimate versus the contract award. I talked a little bit about this last month, where you could see our engineers' estimates were a little higher than what our bids were coming in at, and that's because of all the inflation and the costs I kind of explained yesterday. So we're really kind of coming back more in line. You can see in May, we're much closer with those estimates. And that's what I have for you today. Happy to take any questions.
Questions from Carmen? Ms. Menlo, questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Morning, Commissioner. Troy Peterson, Operations Director at UDOT. I get the opportunity today to talk a little bit about our zero fatalities strategic direction, where we're sitting on our scoreboard there. First thing I want to show you is on our scoreboard is the fatality rate. You'll notice that we're trending in a direction. We're sitting at currently through the month of March, we're at 0.84. And our vehicle miles traveled, we're sitting at about 7 billion DMT statewide, like I mentioned, through March. Looking at our numbers, though, I wanted to step in real quick on here on this traffic fatalities. And as a reminder, I wanted to identify these two lines on here. I know we've talked about these before. I just want to make sure I address it. The orange line represents the target for a reduction that's a 2.5% average over the last 3 years. And then the blue is the actual number of fatalities. And as you can see, as we sit today, we're sitting at 77 fatalities for the year, which is under the, you can say a target that we're shooting for, but we're not. It's the number for that reduction of 84, which is, we haven't seen this in a while. So it's good to see that blue line trending underneath the orange line. Let me jump to another little report card, our zero fatalities report card here. You can see where we were sitting last year at this time at 105 fatalities, and today we're sitting at 77. So those numbers are, as we compare to last year, obviously encouraging to see our numbers lower, but still too many in this category. And you can also notice that our crashes are actually up, which is another interesting. And let me step back over here and we'll go to our suspected serious injuries. These ones are actually trending a little lower than normal. I should say normal for the last few years, which is also a good sign. So we're seeing more crashes. Like I mentioned on the other, we're seeing more crashes, but less of them are severe or suspected serious. So maybe that's attributed to some of the weather we've had this last few months. I don't know how the snow, but we are seeing that the traffic crashes were up. And that's all I really have for today, other than I always like to throw out our 5 safety reminders for safe driving behaviors. And that is to always wear a seatbelt, drive focused, calm, alert, and as always, drive sober. Any questions today?
I have one. How do you measure or calculate 7 million vehicle mile travel into the future?
Wow. So there is a little bit, I don't know the exact science behind audit numbers, how they calculate it. We do have a lot of sensors on our roadway that we collected a lot of information from ADT, and there's some calculations that go on that. And I would phone a friend, but I'm not sure if that friend's here. I don't see anyone from that group.
So we have counters out on select routes, and we generate this information on, every state does, and reports it, up to Federal Highway Administration, through our HPMS system. But we take those counters at different locations, and then it's extrapolated out for the full system.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
As you can see, Bob Kelly is on his way. He's representing the case of the number 6, program development, consent agenda total, right? We're going to excuse Ivan, who is with the family today.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Bob Pelly. I'm the STIP coordinator, so I'll be handling the next 2 items here. Item number 5 is the consent agenda. Included in the consent agenda package are the minutes for the March 23rd, 2023 programming workshop and March 24th, 2023 Transportation Commission meeting, and a list of projects. The projects included in the exhibit have either been awarded, have identified budget amounts that can be removed, or on closeout process and have funding available to remove and to be reprogrammed. Just move down for.
While he's doing that, Heather, thank you for the wonderful detailed and organized fashion that you provide us with. Thank you.
The first item is the programming workshop minutes. Quite a number, and very helpful. This next group is the commission meeting minutes. And finally, a lot of minutes. And then finally, this is the list of projects that are returning funds, either by award adjustments, budget recoveries, and project closeouts. So the motion for this action is to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
I just have.
Please.
I love that we put these monies right back to work. I think that's one of the really great things. Could you just please define for me budget recovery?
Budget recovery, okay, so budget recovery is when the project is virtually done. I mean, it's just in its final closeout, but instead of waiting for the final closeout, the program managers look at the projects and determine they've got enough money in there to cover any encumbrances that are left and identify those funds to be removed. So it's just a kind of an interim step prior to just allowing the project to sit and go to close out, which in some cases could take several months. So this allows those.
We've had some take many years.
Yeah, and with utilities and
That's
right of way
great.
issues and
Thank
things
you
like
for
that.
that explanation.
I move for approval of consent.
It's a motion.
I'll second.
Second. One more question, Bob.
Yes, sir.
Explain to the commission this step is necessary when the closeout time comes. We have an inspection done, final walkthrough inspection of the departments on the projects or from the developers.
So for the closeout, there's, I believe, a number of steps, and I could point, yes, for a project manager to come up, for the financial piece, I mean, all of those, inspections are done at the project level. They go through and then they send all of that information to the region. They have another, set of eyes that look at those to make sure that everything's been taken care of, certs and those kind of things, everything's taken care of. And then it comes to us, and then there's another closeout checklist that gets taken care of. So there's a number of items that takes place for a project to close out. But I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I just wanted the public to know, and of course representatives, that we don't just issue the blind check because it's done. So you have every step, you have inspection in the local levels and of course the central levels to be done before we get this final closeout. Of course, Carlos mentioned sometimes it takes 10 years to complete the project, so it's still under inspection.
And depending on the amount of the contract, I mean, if a contract is over a certain amount, I can't remember what that is, it goes through an independent audit of itself. So, I mean, there's an additional step even on projects that have a lot of money attached to them. So.
Thank you.
And Commissioner, we do our own check too for that one.
Thank you for that.
It's a lot of eyes.
So several eyes are watching. Thank you. We have a motion and a second on this particular item. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner, I did not hear your voice.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Item number, consent agenda is approved. Thank you.
And we'll go on to item number 6, which is our program development piece. The first item is 6A-1. This is the Bear Lake Network. It's a new project, Region 1. They're requesting this project with its some recreational HOTS funds that they have left over. So this project, the proposed scope of the Bear Lake Trail Network project is to develop a master plan for a trail network along Bear Lake. This project would result in concept designs and cost estimates that will be used to develop future projects. The amount of the project is $300,000. There's a picture of the Bear Lake and some lines around it showing where they'd be looking at for this project. So the request is a motion to add the Bear Lake Trail Network project to the current STIP as detailed.
The question is, after all these runoffs and water, we're gonna have any property left to have that trail?
Maybe some little bridges.
I love the fact that there's hotspot money that they're still using.
Question, so is, I presume the red is where they're filling the gaps with this trail?
That is correct.
I mean, I know that the other area, there's a nice trail, and so I just presume between that up to the, okay. Yeah.
Oh, I think Rhonda should make this
Yeah, I'm
motion,
just
but if she
waiting.
doesn't, I'll second it.
She's anxiously waiting for us to, finish the question.
Yeah, so I'm waiting to make this motion. This is, if I might speak to the motion, I'm going to make a motion to approve, but I'd like to speak to it briefly. This has been a process of a year looking at different options and ideas about increasing the trail network and completing the Utah portion of it. And we were able to secure the city through the legislative fund some additional trail building money. So that will be coupled with some funding through the Office of Outdoor Recreation. So this is a team effort, and UDOT, Outdoor Recreation, the City of Garden City are partnering on this this exciting project. And if I might say a personal thing, this is a trail that will impact many people and is heavily used. And so we're excited to see it become completed, and we're already starting to try to work with our Idaho partners to complete their part. So I'm excited to have this motion be approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6A-1 is approved.
Thank you. Next item is item 6A-2. This is a Region 1 request to add funds to the replace barrier and crash cushion on I-15 project. The department recently advertised the replace barrier and crash cushions on I-15. What's this? Next one. The department received 4 bids, with the low bidder coming in at 140% of the engineer's estimate. The project team has reviewed the bids and determined it is unlikely re-advertising would result in lower bids. Region 1 is recommending adding funds to the project in order to award the project to the apparent low bidder. So the request is to add $600,000 to this project from their Transportation Solutions program. Here's a map of this location. Motion today is to add the funds to the replace barrier and crash cushions on I-15 project as detailed.
Rob, is that just one location? Is that just one location on I-15 that you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
thank you.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Item 6A-2 is approved. Thank you.
Next item is item 6A-3. This is a Region 1 project to add funds to the SR 39 Ogden Canyon Barrier Upgrade Project. These are also Transportation Solutions, and the request is to add $3,250,000 to this project. The scope of the Ogden Canyon Barrier Upgrade Project is to replace the existing barrier at strategic locations in Ogden Canyon. The project team evaluated the wall and barrier to make recommendations to improve these areas. The evaluation showed that the extent of the replacement in these areas far exceeds the current project budget. Region 1 would like to move forward with a project that will address part of the existing rock wall and replace the existing barrier with a 42-inch half barrier. Move down here. Location map. Here's some photographs of the wall condition currently. Example of the repair. So today, the motion to add funds to the SR 39 Ogden Canyon Barrier Upgrade Project is detailed.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second.
And I would state that it appears to be that if we had somebody hit that barrier at a few places, that there's no protection currently.
We pull that barrier out of the river quite often.
I can believe that.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-3 is approved.
Thank you. Next item is 6A-4. This is also a Region 1 project to add additional funding and scope to the SR 177 West Davis Highway, I-15, and SR 67 to SR 193 project. The request is to add $119 million of TIF funds to this project. The additional scope of the West Davis corridor from SR 193 to 1800 North was studied and cleared as part of the West Davis Environmental Impact Statement in 2017. Due to a lack of available funding program funding in the 2018 workshop, this scope was not included in the current design build project. The additional funding will complete the work cleared in the 2017 EIS. The section of the West Davis Highway is approximately 2.5 miles in length and will include a single lane in each direction. Here's the location map that we're speaking of. The red section is the and Peace up to 1800 North. And the request today is a motion to add funding to the SR 177, SR 193 to 1800 North project as detailed.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion. This is something that's waited for a long period of time and further extends that important artery into the West Davis area. So this is something that needs to be done and has been waiting.
Thank you.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6A-4 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is item 6A-5. This is a Region 2 project. It's a scope change to the I-15 southbound overhead sign replacement project. So there's no additional funding requested on this. The original scope of the I-15 southbound overhead sign replacement project was to replace signs that are fading, peeling, and beyond their service life along the southbound I-15 in Salt Lake County. After coordination with the I-15 reconstruction Farming to Salt Lake City project, it was determined that several signs will be replaced as part of that project. So this has freed up approximately $500,000 in this project. So Region 2 would like to utilize these extra funds to replace overhead signs along the SR 201 corridor from milepost 13.2 to 16.3. One sign on eastbound SR 171 leading up to the I-215 interchange, and one sign on northbound Bangerter Highway approaching the airport. The project name will also be changed to the Region 2 overhead sign replacement. So here is location. Red, of course, is the I-15. The new locations will be the dots and the SR 201 area right here. So the action today is a motion to approve the I-15 southbound overhead sign replacement scope change as detailed.
Chair. Yes. In honor of Mr. Kramer, I move for approval.
I'll second that.
So Jason Roberts should postpone this one until he's here. He would have loved to work, motion for this one. Thank you.
One knows that in honor.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Question one now, I did not see you vote. I did not hear it.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Item 6A-5 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is 6A-6. This is a Region 2 request to add new state transportation alternative projects to the STIP. Here's the list of projects that you're looking at. I think there's 9 new projects. So Region 2 requests approval to add 9 transportation alternative projects to the current STIP. The Transportation Alternative Program projects include a variety of smaller scale, non-vehicle transportation projects such as pedestrian and bicycle facilities, shared use trails, and safe routes to school projects. Region 2 conducted an application period to determine eligible projects in Tooele, Summit, and Salt Lake counties. There's several. This first is a list of where all the projects are relative to the region, and then a site location of each project that they're looking at. The first being 2700 West, that's 6570 South. It's in Taylorsville. The second project is 2700 East, 3900 South to Morningside Drive and Holiday. Third project is 1700 East, Fort Union Boulevard to 7200 South in Cottonwood Heights, sidewalk project. Fourth project is 1400 South, 1741 West to 1849 West in Bluffdale sidewalk project. This next project is in Camas. Camas school crossings at several locations in Camas area. The sixth project is Old Ranch Road, 995 West to 4835 North in Summit County, a trail project. The seventh project is Summit Haven Drive from 867 West to Oak Drive in Francis. The eighth project is Columbia Avenue, 40th East to State Street in Mill Creek. It's a sidewalk project. And the last project is White City Canal Trail Lighting Project. So the request today is a motion to approve adding these transportation alternative projects to the Region 2 Transportation Alternative Program, and the current STIP is detailed.
Yes.
I have questions. I love the variety of these projects, and of course, we always value the partnerships that we have. It was interesting to look at this and not see that it was formula driven. The matches were all very different. Is it just based on what the project needs and how much money we might have available, or how does that happen?
Robert?
Hey, delegation.
Grant's coming up to explain their process.
I'm Brad Palmer. I'm the Region 2 Program Manager. When we send out the applications, we send it out with some certain stipulations. We told all the cities that we would match up to 60% of a project, but we wouldn't go above $300,000 on any given project. And so when the applications came in, they would put their request out there saying, here's our project, this is what we're doing, this is how much it costs, this is how much we would request from UDOT. And then I had a couple program managers myself review the applications, make sure they qualified, and then based on the total amount of money that we had to program and the total number of applications we had, looking at the needs of the project, we would make sure that the money that we allocated to each one would be distributed according to what that specific piece of scope was. So for instance, we had one project that was replacing a big canal across the road, but they were missing sidewalk across the canal piece of it. They asked for quite a bit of money, and when we reviewed it, we said, we don't feel that the amount you're asking for qualifies or is the amount of the sidewalks. We're going to only allocate this much money just for the sidewalk portion of the project. We did that across the board for every project.
Thank you so much for that explanation.
Question, don't go yet.
Yeah,
Yes.
just what rest of it. I love what you're doing here. I just wanted to get a better sense of the motivation behind it all. You know, you hear things like, you know, legislature, governor promoting trails, active transportation, different things, but at its core, what motivates all of these adjustments?
Do you mean specifically the program itself or the project requests?
I think she's referring to the
Program, okay. So this program's actually, I'm not sure how long it's been around. It's been around for quite a while, probably, I don't know, decades. The region is allocated about 500 to 600,000 a year, depending on the year. This year we had a little more money because the previous year, this used to be a state program, a state funded, I shouldn't say state funded, it was state funds that we received federal funds that we converted to state funds, and then we're able to distribute as funding pass-throughs to the local governments. Just this past year, that changed and we were not able to convert our funds directly from federal to state. So this was going to be a lot more difficult for us to administer on a small scale using federal funds, because a lot of those costs get eaten up in processes and procedures to administer those federal funds. Our good friends at WFRC came to our rescue and worked with both Region 1 and Region 2 to take our federal TAP funds into their program and allowed us to take federal funds from them that we can easily distribute across other projects, which freed up state money within the regions that we can continue to administer this as a state with state funds, which made it a lot easier. So there was a lot of maneuvering over the past year. So we kind of missed last year, but we had twice as much money this year program. as we-
I love is the small neighborhood level benefits that come from this. And so often we're operating at this scale, and here we are helping this little, crossing in Camas. So thank you.
Robert Stewart, Region 2 Director. This program is dedicated specifically to these types of projects, to these sidewalk type projects. And the reason why we try to give ourselves as much flexibility with those funds as possible is because in order to deliver a federal project, it just the overhead with that project is so great that when you start talking about a $100,000 project, it gets overwhelmed. And so with the change in the way that these things were going to be administered, we chose the route we did so that we could disperse as many funds as possible to as many different communities as possible to better their sidewalk program. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's great. Now that just raised another question.
Right.
You talked about how WFRC was able to help and, change how the dollars were utilized. What about the communities that don't have an MPO? How might that work in those other areas? Was that probably wasn't a fair question.
That's why I get a program.
But because that was such an important part of the solution, what about the rest of the state that doesn't have that access?
So WFRC has their own federal TAP program that they administer. And so what they did was they took our TAP funds and put it into their TAP program that they use just within the MPO areas. But because they took all of the UDOT TAP money and gave us some money that's more flexible, we were able to convert that to state money that we can now use across the entire region outside of the MPO boundaries. And so it still helps us to administer this TAP program as we did in the past in Tooele, Summit, and Salt Lake counties.
What about other regions? That only works in Region 2.
Region 1 was able to do the same thing.
Okay.
And then regions 3 and 4, I'm not sure how they're administering their TAP funds.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may I just add maybe a little bit of context and tie the questions together here? As Commissioner Gochner stated, it's nice that we can work on the small level at a neighborhood level because that's important to try to get, people have to walk and bike active transportation starting at a level near their home and then reach out to other areas. I think, Ben and I were just saying there's probably a graphic involved that we could show everyone that shows all the ways we can invest in active transportation. Because we've got the TAP program, we've got the sidewalk program, we now have the big one with the regional trail network, but we need that whole system from the point people leave their house until they get to a bigger system. And I think what we've got now is the ability to address all of those areas. We have programs that we can help out locals. We also do it through our TIF program. We can program active transportation projects within TIF that have a match. So locals, to Commissioner Law's question, we can help out locals that way too. They can apply for funds through TIF to do their active transportation project. So I think now we can fully address the whole system from when you leave your house to when you try to get to a larger system to use. I think that's in the future. Ben will be working on a graphic to show how that might work.
Will it have many colors?
Absolutely. Ben works on it, definitely, yes.
Thank you.
May I make this motion
Please
to
do.
approve?
One second.
Okay. There's a motion and second. Any other questions, comments, and concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed? Item 6A-6 is approved.
Thank you. Next item, looking at is item 6A-7. This is a Region 3 project. Adding funds to the US 6 I-15 to US 89 project. Currently programmed at 2.6 million. The request is to add 1.6 million of the region's transportation solutions funds to this project. The scope of the US 6, I-15 to US 89 is currently to apply a microsurface as a preservation service treatment. During the design of the project, it was proposed to change the treatment type due to the current condition of the pavement. The result is a recommendation to increase the surface treatment type graded surface course. This increased funds are needed to use this preservation treatment type. So next, this is the location map of the project, Spanish Fort area. So the request is a motion to add funds to the US 6 I-15 to US 89 project as detailed.
So moved. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
It's a motion and a second. Questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-7 is approved.
Thank you. Our next item is item 6A-8. This is a Region 3 project. Request to add funds to the US 40 Duchesne West City Limits to Antelope Creek project. Again, these are the current projects at 6.8 million. A request to add 3.8 million of transportation solutions dollars to this project. During the design of the project, the treatment type was revisited due to the current condition of the roadway and anticipated increase in truck traffic on US 40 from the oil field activities. The result was a recommendation to add funding to this project and upgrade the preservation treatment to a 1-inch mill and a 2-inch overlay. The request will add structure to the roadway and help prolong the life of the pavement with the changes to the traffic. Here is a location map. Today, the request is a motion to add funds to the US 40 Duchesne West City Limits to Antelope Creek project as detailed.
It's a needed project. I move.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any more questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-8 is approved.
Thank you. Next item is item 6A-9. This is a Region 4 project requesting to add funds to the I-70 Sinbad to brake test project. Currently programmed at 1.35 million. Request to add $1,050,000 of high volume pavement funds to this project. The scope of the I-70 Sinbad to brake test project is to provide a preservation seal coat on both the eastbound and westbound directions from approximately milepost 131.3 to milepost 138.6. The additional funds is needed to address cost increases related to projects in rural locations and to address inflation related to chip seal oil and other construction costs. Here's the location of this project, Emory County. The request today is a motion to add funds to the I-70 Sinbad to brake test project as detailed.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Second, any other questions, comments? Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed? Item 6A-9 is approved.
Thank you. Our next item is item 6A-10. This is a Region 4 project to add funds to the SR 259 and SR 260 pavement overlay project. Currently programmed at 2.2 million. Request for an additional $1 million of high volume funds. The scope of the SR 259 and SR 160 project pavement overlay project is to rehabilitate the pavement with a lane level asphalt overlay, and chip seal treatments. The additional funding is needed to address cost increases related to projects in rural locations and inflation related to asphalt, chip seal oil, pedestrian ramps, and drainage elements. Here's location map. Project. Today, the motion is needed, motion to add funding to the SR 259 and SR 260 pavement overlay project as detailed.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would move we approve. I was on that road 4 or 5 months ago and it's ready for it.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you for that. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-10 is approved.
Thank you. Our next item is 6A-11. This is a Region 4 project to add funds to the US 89, 900 East to 300 North, 300 North Kanab and US 89A project. Currently programmed at 1.9 million. Request to add 850,000 of high volume program funds to this project. The scope of the US 89, 900 East to 300 North Kanab and US 89A project is a micro surface seal and a reconstruction of pedestrian ramps. The project was recently advertised with 3 bidders submitting bids higher than the engineer's estimate. The bid abstract was evaluated and it was determined the best path forward is to seek additional funds and award the project. Here's a location map. Nav. Request today is a motion to approve adding funds to the US 89, 900 East to 300 North Kanab and US 89A project as detailed.
Chair will make that motion.
I'll second.
Second, thank you.
Again, I can think this was these rural communities. I'm surprised we had 3 bidders. But hopefully, I think this is, you know, one of those, we keep it up or we lose it. So.
Monty, did you have any resolved all the issues with local leaders at the Canal? They had a little bit of a concern about the roads and the parking. That is already resolved.
Come up to the.
Good morning, Monty Aldridge, Region 4 Director. Yes, the local government officials are very happy to have us work on this project with them. And they always are great partners in this area. And so they're approved of having this stuff.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions, concerns regarding this project? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6A-11 is approved.
Thank you. Our next item is just for information only, 6A-12. This is a funding addition, the American Fork Art Dye Trail. So there was $695,000 of MPO funds added to this project. In 2018, American Fork was awarded $637,000 STPG grant funds to complete the last section of the Art Dye Trail from American Fork to the Murdoch Canal Trail. Due to potential conflicts with park visitors, the trail was moved to the other side of the road. The project is ready to bid and needed the additional $695,000. The MAG TAC recommended approval of this item at their March 28th, 2023 meeting and approved at their April 6th, 2023 MPO board. So here's the location map of the trail. And as I stated, this is for information only. The next item is also information only, 6A-13. This is a project combination for 3 projects, well, 6 projects into 3 projects, shown right here. Again, this is just information only. The above tables show the project combinations. These individual projects have previously been approved through the commission action. Project combinations are done to provide efficiencies in project delivery. This gets us to next item, which is 6B, which is the 2023 programming workshop proposed program values. So in the March 2023 program workshop, the department presented proposed values for these programs utilized to preserve, maintain, and operate the transportation assets owned by the state of Utah. The graphic below are those proposed values for each program. So this is what presented yesterday during our workshop. And the orange highlighted are the amounts that we're actually looking to approve. The ones that are kind of in blue or light shaded have previously been approved. And the dark or the very, very light shaded numbers, those are just there as projected amounts. We'll be back in future years for approval. Most likely those values will change. So the request will be a motion to approve the proposed program values from the March 2023 program workshop as detailed. Again, I'll put our graphic back. We're really looking for the orange shaded values for these programs.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion. I think it's important just to note that we've had, 6 weeks to study and better understand and remember based on our workshop yesterday. So I would like to do this. We make a motion to approve.
Second that motion.
So motion and a second. Any other comments, questions, concerns? It's kind of cool.
Yeah. It does help.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6A-B is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is for information only, which is addition in the May 2023 programming workshop, the department presented proposed projects that will be used, that would use the proposed funding to preserve, maintain, and operate the transportation assets owned by the state of Utah. The attached list detailed the proposed project values from the programs requiring project level approval. So again, this is just for information only, and I need to click on it. Oh, several pages of projects that we talked about in the workshop yesterday, and these workshop programs. Here's the high volume project list. This next list is the Joint Highway Committee projects in small urban TAP, their off-system bridge, and their non-urban programs. This next list is a list of the low volume projects. This is the list of the structures projects, both the rehabilitation and the preservation. This next list is the transportation solutions projects that we talked about yesterday. And as I stated, that was just for information. Our next item is item 6D. So this is the draft 2023-2024 rural public transit program. So each year, the UDOT Rural Public Transit Division presents the statewide rural public transit program to the commission for approval and inclusion into the draft STIP. The statewide rural, public transit program is a planning level summary of projects and cost estimates. The rural public transit program is presented for review in May and will be back for approval in June. And the funded listed is not guaranteed until all the federal grants are issued. So here are the lists. Of funding that we talked about yesterday in our workshop. This is the list of the COVID relief funds for the rural public transit. And then the 2 years, 2023 list of projects and recipients, values. And this will be for 2024 rural transit programs. And if you have questions, we have the rural transit program coordinator here, if you'd like to visit with her. Ever come up?
Yeah, just a quick, that list, it went pretty quick on the screen, but how is rural defined in this context?
Elena, come up and
Oh, sorry.
Take your time.
Sorry.
Take your time.
So anxious to do that. Hi, Elena Spendlove, Rural Public Transit Program Manager. Rural is defined as anything under 15,000. So we.
That's interesting. It's not geographic.
So it's really basically anything. We just define it as outside of the
50,000.
UTA boundaries.
It's why it popped for me, because I was looking at the list and I'm like, wow, that looks like an urban Utah. Oh, that looks like an urban Utah.
Yeah.
But it's more of a monetary. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You have a question?
No, I just want to comment, you know, we know this, we see it for any public that might be looking at this meeting and saying, where can I sell these lists? They can go online and see them all on our website. So just maybe to make that comment that even though we're scrolling through fast and we've looked a long time, they're available for those who would like to see those online as well.
Let me see if I can.
Mr. Chairman, would you
Yes.
like Bob to?
Yes, please.
Navigate it?
That might be helpful just for someone.
Here comes the keyboard.
Know this.
We're doing the website thing down here.
Just talk to you when you're going.
Let's see, you need it to, or
Start with utah.gov.
Right here, that's great.
cameras. This will get to our website,
Whoa.
Man on the front. He's in color too. And as we go down to commission website right there. The list of projects that we're talking about that we were in our workshop yesterday. So if we click on this presentation here, this was all of yesterday's workshop. It's quite a deck of items. I think there's 188 slides in here, but everything that we went through yesterday and all the programs is going to be here. And the public certainly is more than welcome to go and look through here. And I know that at the very top, there's a list of the agenda items, and as kind of work through the deck, if you got down near the bottom of the deck, that's where the rural transit update is. Went through all of those slides, the list of projects and things like that. So
Go back one, and then go to the program. Because I think that's the place where you want to go. Get down a little while lower.
Okay.
And so, then you want to, can't move it on my iPad. Right, it's up, stop.
right here,
Click on programs.
programs. Okay, programs. So this sheet here will get you into the big level of programs here. And you can kind of look at the program values at this point here. And I don't know if we don't have the transit in this, but just for looking at kind of the program level amounts.
That's where did Bob go? I didn't go yesterday to show all the projects.
It's on the projects.
The projects link?
Yeah.
Was it there?
Yeah, yeah. So this is our projects app where if we were looking just for a specific program, i.e. like if we just look at transportation solutions and we're looking at the proposed, which is what we were talking about yesterday. This is where we can go. And if you find a project that you want more information on, this location is in green. So if you click on this, it's going to bring up a one-page description of what this project is. So each of these projects here, you can go and we'll tell you a little bit more about it as a one-page piece here. So, and this is for all the programs. I mean, this is certainly for transportation solutions, but you know, if you were looking at structures and you had an interest in the structures program for Region 2 that was proposed, here's a list of these projects. You could go there and select a project and you'd have a one page. So if you were interested in that, is that what you're looking for? Thank you.
It's always a good refresher for us too, to remember how to get to all the parts. Like, you all know that my biggest constituent is my hairdresser. And so when I can remind her how to, you know, look, you can go find this out for yourself. Don't expect me to remember all the projects. It's an excellent website. I appreciate the effort made to be transparent to the citizens of Utah.
Thank you. All right. Let me hand this back and maybe you can get me back to where I'm supposed to be.
Yep.
All right, that was 6D. And the next is also, this is for information only, but this is the 6E is the draft 2024-2028 Utah Airport Capital Improvement Program. Again, we touched on this yesterday a little bit, but each year the Division of Aeronautics presents a 5-year statewide Airport Capital Improvement Program to the Commission for approval and inclusion into the draft STIP. The ACIP is a planning level summary of projects and cost estimates of both FAA and state-funded projects in the statewide airport system. The ACIP is presented for approval in May, or for review in May and approval in June. So funding for these projects listed in the ACIP is not guaranteed until the federal and state grants are issued. And talked about this yesterday, and there was a nice list of projects. And again, we have the director of the airport program here. If you guys have some questions, I'm sure he's itching to come up and answer any questions that you have. These are the list of projects through 2026, I believe. Oh, stand corrected, 2027. 28. And again, this is for information only, and I'll be back next month for approval.
Good job, Bob.
Thanks, sir. That's all that I have.
Matt, you had said yesterday you could have information about the Salt Lake Airport you want to talk about today. Do you have that information handy? Give us an update what is going on with the Salt Lake.
Matt Moss, Director of Aeronautics. Commissioner, no, I don't have that information available for this meeting, but I will in the June meeting have it broken out to show Salt Lake International by itself, and then the other 45 public use airports. So you can see what a huge beast the Salt Lake City International Airport is. So,
okay, we wait for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is number 7 on your agenda, corridor preservation, and the Charles Stoneman is going to be online presenting this particular item. Charles, good morning.
Good morning, commissioners. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. Greetings from fabulous Las Vegas. I apologize I can't be with you, but we planned a trip before the schedule was set. But we'll dive right in. First, we'll review the budget and obligations, the status of the Marta Del Rey Corridor Preservation Fund. We have 2 months to catch up on. So first, we have the month ending January 31st with a balance forward of just under 45.1 million. Motor vehicle rental tax of just over 600,000. Again, another healthy month of property management rental revenue. I think the most noteworthy thing that is pivoted on these budget sheets is the interest income is substantially higher thanks to our friends at the Fed. Total revenue of just over $827,000. Net expenses of just over $25,000. We have not been able to close any transactions just yet, but leaving a fund balance of just under 45.9. You had previously approved just over $8 million in acquisitions that we are working on. In terms of updates on these, we've made really good progress with America First Credit Union on a potential future park and ride location. It has evolved. I expect we will need to bring that back to you once we get it closer to being final, given the changes in real estate value since it was first presented and some of the changes in plans that America First has had. The trade with the church is currently hung up in a negotiation related to another parcel where we've got a couple of title issues we are working through. There's a lot of good work being done there, particularly by the Attorney General's office to keep that one on track, but it is on everyone's agenda. The sign relocation on Gentile Street is proving a lot more challenging than we anticipated, given, quite frankly, the size of the parcel and recent developments. And then the Aldi and Giles matters are moving forward. And it should be, we're hoping to have those done in relatively short order. Moving to our next month. So for the end of February, the balance forward was just under 45.9. You can see the tick up in rental tax revenue of just over $860,000, total revenue of just over 1.1 million. Again, a good healthy amount of interest income. Net expenses of just over $44,000, bringing the fund balance to just a hair under 47 million. Factor in the 8 million that have been obligated, and then we have 2 items today, which total just under 12.9 million, which, if approved, would leave a balance of just over 26 million. Any questions on the status of the fund or our income or expenses?
I don't see anything.
Okay. If not, we will move into just to really quickly apologize. I overlooked the tracking. You can see we do tend to have this little bit of a cyclical movement in the way the money is coming to the fund, primarily in the motor vehicle rental tax. It does seem to be increasing slightly. From what I have read, rental cars are more expensive than they ever have been. And so, at least from a taxation perspective, it leads to a little bit more income for our fund. As usual, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I'm going to scroll down. This is a parcel out on SR 73, item 7A. In Saratoga Springs. We've got a zoomed in image here. I'll scroll ahead quickly and come back to that one in just a moment, just to give you some perspective on where this parcel sits with relation to other parts of our state network. You can see Pioneer Crossing, some of the other proposed alignments for SR 73, and then where Mountain View Corridor ties into each of these. This is to give you a sense of where the puzzle piece fits in with all the other corridor preservation work we have done on this alignment. We've actually been able to acquire quite a bit And this just offers some perspective on where it sits relative to the other work we have done in this area. But as to this parcel, it is owned by Edge Homes Utah LLC, approximately 1600 West on SR 73 in Saratoga Springs. It is vacant land, but they have begun the process of developing a residential development in this area. They are already placing utilities for that project, but they have been working with us, and we are grateful for that. The property is 1.831 acres, or approximately 80,000 square feet. One thing I will note, as we look at the appraised value of $279,200 or $3.50 per square foot, you will recall we have paid much higher than that in this area. We are paying significantly less here because we are taking it subject to a very large accommodate and manage as part of its project construction. So the value is lower than we have seen on some other vacant land in this area, but it makes sense given that significant encumbrance. The advisory council has given a favorable recommendation to approve the acquisition of this 1.831 acre parcel for $279,200, and our request of the commission would be approval to obligate the fund accordingly.
Thank you.
Nadia, I'm happy to make that motion.
Thank you.
And I will second it.
It's a motion and a second. Any other questions? Comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Love?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Item 7-A is approved.
Thank you, commissioners. We'll move to item 7B now. Again, the picture is worth 1,000 words. This is a group of 5 parcels owned by, they're owned by different entities, but they are all eventually owned by a group called the St. Properties. They're a group out back east, but they have significant holdings here in Utah. For those of you who noticed on your drive into the complex this morning, they're actually working on development just north of the Calvin Rampton building. This gives you a sense of the areas that we are trying to acquire along the I-15 corridor, and this is 2000 West in Pleasant Grove. I'm going to get you a zoomed out image of how this fits into the larger picture. You can see the existing interchange along Pleasant Grove Boulevard. 2000 West is currently goes over I-15, but it would be a future interchange. And this last one gives you a sense of what the plan in the area is. The tilt on this is a little bit different, so I apologize for that. But you can see the areas that we're looking at along 2000 West, as well as I-15 frontage roads, on-ramps, off-ramps, as they hit this vacant ground and the already existing development just here to the east. Scroll up into the zoomed in image just to get you into the details. The total property that we seek to acquire in fee or with all the rights would be 8 acres. There are perpetual easements that butt up against those, totaling just over 2.9 acres. This St. John's group is actively developing in this area, and development would be imminent if we were not able to secure this for the future corridor. The combined properties have appraised for $12,560,600. And as noted, the property will be used for a future interchange. It is currently unfunded, but does rank high on the commission's prioritization, and the project is planned to repay the fund once the money is funded. Our request would be to move forward with the acquisition of this property from each of these entities in an amount not to exceed $12,560,600.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd make that motion.
I'd second, have a question. So this future interchange here, are we able to Boyd, I think there's a couple businesses right to the right of that. There's the storage units you can see there, and there's a rock crusher company or something there. Are we able to, Bob or Eric, are we able to do that? Or are we gonna have to cut into that too? I'm just curious, knowing that you can kind of see on the one blowing up those long skinny things as storage units, and then there's a kind of a company that has rock crushing type stuff.
Rob Clayton, Region 3 Director. Yeah, there's definitely some constraints there, but the concept that got laid out minimized the impacts to those businesses. There is the off-ramp that would have to kind of skirt those units, and there's an access issue there that we'd have to work out with.
But it'll work, okay.
Yeah, I think we can make it work.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? All in favor of this project, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 7-B is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Our last item is a little bit different, and I don't have any maps for you, but we do have quite a bit of information to share. Item 7C, during the last legislative session, HB House Bill 44, Transportation Corridor Funding Amendments, was passed and signed into law by Governor Cox on March 13th, 2023. At a high level, the law extends the time horizon for use of the Marta Del Rey Corridor Preservation Fund from 30 to 40 years, and allows the department to use the fund for staff and overhead costs to administer the fund, subject to approval by you all, by the Transportation Commission. Through a separate action, Senate Bill 2, Fiscal Year Supplemental Appropriations, the fund is going to receive a $60 million one-time funding addition. The right-of-way division seeks your approval to allocate sufficient money from the fund beginning in fiscal year 2024 to hire a full-time employee with significant real estate experience to focus on administration of the fund in a more proactive manner. As you know, we currently have one person working on this fund, obviously with support by me, but she has considerable other duties on the property management side. And so we're hoping that with an additional person focused exclusively on corridor preservation, we can begin to be a lot more proactive. We anticipate the cost for this additional staff member is going to be up to $130,000 to cover salary, benefits, and related travel expenses. I will note that the legislature did already allocate approximately $122,000, but just to be safe and on the right side of the approval process, we want to make sure we're covering the full anticipated costs and securing your approval to move forward with this funding transfer to provide for a new employee in the right-of-way group.
Good, those.
I want to make this motion. We can't do our work without people. And so I think it's really important that we're able to be proactive with this effort. I'm grateful to the legislature for the additional funding and consideration of people as part of that. And I do have a question. The 130, that would be indexable, right? So that as we provide compensation increases, that person's not going to be held to that 130 salary.
That is not what we're asking here. So
Okay.
There's no employee salary here that's indexable.
Okay.
Nice. That's a legislative action. So
Okay.
I would anticipate as costs change, we would come back to the commission for your approval.
I move to approve this item.
Thank you.
In honor of Lou Kramer, I'll second.
Yeah. My question, Charles, is that when you're going to start actually hiring this person, the timeline?
We actually have a vacancy right now. We had a staff member leave for the private sector a couple of weeks ago. We are advertising for that. Depending upon the applications we receive, we may be able to move fairly quickly to get someone on board in early July. That's sort of my hope. It obviously depends on the nature of the applications, and that job posting is currently open. So Please ask anyone you know who's interested in working with the best right-of-way group in the country to apply. If the application pool doesn't provide somebody who might fit this role, we would obviously go back out, and that'll take a few weeks. But we are trying to hit the ground running at the beginning of July.
Thank you. Any other questions? Say none. All in favor of item C, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7, the C is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners, and thanks for the flexibility to participate remotely.
Thank you and have fun. Item number 8 is SR 154 Bangor Highway Abandonment. Now, Stu is going to present that.
Thank you. Robert Stewart, Region 2 Director. You're controlling. I'll stop.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm out. Okay, so anybody that's traveled to the Salt Lake City International Airport understands that it's been undergoing renovations for at least since 2014, I believe. Huge improvements to that airport. I'm taking example from Charles. I'll go down to the picture first. I was approached in November of 2021 from the Salt Lake City Airport to place a monument onto UDOT right-of-way at this location right here. And I will just say, I made this graphic, okay, just so that I could show the world. It's not as good as Charles's. This was me though. This is all me.
I like the color you picked.
Thank
Don't hurt yourself doing
you. You can see the quality of it, right? So I'm not padding too
That's
hard.
very effective.
Okay, so the location that they chose was right here. And the reason that they chose this location for the monument was that it would both serve as a visual reminder of what people are leaving and what people were entering as they go to and from the airport. The pattern that they chose, they've called the Mighty Five. This is a monument that represents the Mighty Five here in the state of Utah, as well as the Wasatch Mountains as the architecture. I'm not an artist, so I'll just leave it at what they've represented. So they came to us and they said, we'd like to put this thing here. And typically for something of this type, this wouldn't be something that we would put within UDOT right-of-way because it is large. However, there's a number of unique circumstances about this location that lend us to investigating putting it here. Number one is this is at the border. This is at the northern terminus of Bangor Highway already. So this is where Bangor ends and Salt Lake City International Airport maintenance takes over. What they're asking, so that's one condition. The second condition is we go from a high-speed facility here down to 25 really, really quickly, right? Having something that serves as a visual reminder that we're entering something completely different, which is a unique part of this. And also, this is the only, I mean, this is the largest airport within Utah, right? The international airport, and I think having visited a number of different airports throughout the country, a lot of the other airports have something like this, right? So we were trying to find a way to say yes to this. And I think the uniqueness of this location allowed us or provided the opportunity for us to say yes. When investigating the right mechanism to say yes, the thing that we came up with was to abandon this section of roadway. So what that means is less roads for Region 2, yay for the maintenance. But also we don't lose anything by abandoning this section of road. This Bangor comes into it, it's received here. This is where the transition already occurs. And it really is just less pavement for us to maintain, and Salt Lake City more pavement for them to maintain. But it does allow them to place this monument and access it without coming through the region to do work on this if they need to. Does that make sense? So with that, the action that we're asking from the commission is to approve the resolution for abandonment of this 300 feet of Bangor Highway. The mechanism that I believe happens here is if we abandon it, it defaults to the local municipality by statute. Any questions?
I love anything that incorporates art, so I think this is a fabulous project, and I realize that once we do this abandonment thing, it's not our problem, but it's Salt Lake's problem. But I hope that they're thinking about how people will want to engage with a piece of public art that is this dramatic. Pull off, take pictures, run across the road, jump in front of it, you know, has all of that been considered as we create this?
I don't know that that has been
Okay,
considered.
I realize it's not a UDOT issue because I support the abandonment, I support the project, but I hope that someone is mindful of people and how they will want to engage with this art.
That is great perspective.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Are they gonna pay us $3.50 a square foot for it?
No, but what they will do is take over maintenance of a road for us. I know that we like to think of roads as assets. To a large extent, they're liabilities, right? They are a cost that was perpetual for us. So no, we don't get the $3.50. However, we do get somebody that maintains a section of what we used to maintain.
And Robert from Fabulous Las Vegas, the way by which we acquire property dictates how we can abandon it or sell it. And the history on this property says this isn't one we can sell because we didn't acquire it through a deed. We acquired it through a public dedication. And as Robert mentioned, the statutes dictate you then abandon. The abandonment can be done in a couple of different ways under the statute, but here we would abandon to the city so that at least it stays in the public domain.
I love having somebody from the ether being available.
I think I'm super enthusiastic about it, and I think that Donna's points are really well taken. And I'm wondering if there's a way that we can approve the abandonment, but send formal communication to Salt Lake City about our safety concerns and also amenity benefits. A thought that I have is I love things like this, and then if they're not maintained and weeds grow up all around them, it's frustrating. And so it just seems like some sort of formal communication, even if it's not from us, but from Region 2, that make sure that those considerations are cared for. Sure.
I would be happy to sit down with them and communicate those both verbally and in writing.
Any other questions?
One other thing, Raghi, let's enthusiastically ask UDOT to consider more of these. I'm all into the Utah Beautiful movement and beautification of our state, using our roadways to inspire us. Yes. Oh, sorry. I did that out loud, didn't I? So do you need a motion? What do you need?
So you had a motion with you.
Oh, did I make a motion as part of my
I don't know,
enthusiasm?
just make an official if you want to.
I'll make the motion.
Happy to second it.
It's a motion and a second. If there are no other questions, concern, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 8 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number, let's see, information items, commission report, committee report. So I'm going to turn to the right. Commissioner Conklin, do you have any commissioner report you would like to share?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I attended the Wasatch Regional Council meeting and they generated a list that's coming to us. Maybe we have it already. But I will compliment them. They have done an extensive work in the programs that they're referring to.
Thank you.
No, I mean, it's, we've actually had some of the things from Mount Land in our meetings to talk about, so, yeah.
I have nothing to report. Well, yeah, I'll just mention that WFRC's final approval of the regional transportation plan is a big deal. Later this month, our staff has been really involved. And the plan balances roadway transit and trail projects. And I think that's really important that continue.
I've been attending some Cache County meetings, CMPO meetings, and also an arterial meeting looking at addressing transportation, moving west in Cache Valley to provide an arterial that would allow traffic to more efficiently access parts of Cache Valley without being encumbered in the current situation on Logan Main Street and other streets. And the discussion has been very positive and good and helpful. But what we're facing is a realization as soon as an arterial is built, if we look at 10th West, now we have Costco on 10th West. That arterial was built as not maybe a bypass, but an alternative route. And that now is very, very busy. So Cache Valley is growing rapidly, and this will have to be a continuing discussion. It's becoming quite apparent. We'll build one more arterial, and then the projection is that that will become very busy because the development will follow it. So this isn't, just be prepared for Cache Valley to continue to have transportation needs well into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I also attended my community impact board meeting last month. They had another 5 projects advanced to the funding trimester in June. June will have also retreat, will be the Monticello, actually. Commissioner Bruce Adams offered to take care of us there. I also attended the Dixie DTAC meeting. They talked about the unified work and safety program, roundabouts were the projects where they talked about that how you can enjoy yourself and using the roundabouts and how you can have limited issues, problems. And of course, like usual, you know, folks in Region 4, they did a good job reporting like programs and projects coming, so you got. The next meeting is in Price, June 23rd, so get ready for that. Any other?
Where are we gonna be meeting at in Price? Do we know yet?
The county building.
In the commission chambers?
Probably. Any other comments from commissions?
This is Terry's last meeting.
It is. That's gonna be Nicholas. Is this your last meeting, Tim? No, July 15th.
Okay, good. See, my morning's starting so early.
So we're not losing it yet, no. We will have a motion with that July meeting. Anything from you, Doug, Ellis? Terry? Okay. From the folks, region folks, directors, anything? Seeing none, I'm gonna ask you to have one more motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Thank you. Have a safe trip. And those of you who are gonna be traveling to St. George to attend Ironman, please drive safely. And good luck to you.
Good luck.